Awesome. Thank you guys for braving the weather here. So welcome to the UT Extension Sevier County Firewise landscaping demonstration. So as you can see here, all along this fence row is where we are demonstrating best management practices to reduce risk to wildfire using landscaping plants and landscape management approaches. So you can see if we think of the office building as our home structure, as we were going through earlier, we're creating a defensible space here. So think about 5 feet out from the building, the structure, from the home, that's the immediate zone. So that's where we want to minimize and ideally take out anything combustible. From 5 feet to about 30 feet is the intermediate zone. So this is our kind of landscaped area around our immediate zone. And then beyond 30 feet is what would be called the extended zone. Now, if you have highly flammable vegetation around your property and around your structures, or if you're on a steep slope, that defensible space actually could be further than 30 feet. 30 feet is just kind of if you're on relatively flat, no highly flammable vegetation. So 30 feet is the minimum, and then if you've got those kind of compounding factors, you might want to go out to even 100 feet, and some say even 200 feet. So all of these things to consider. So here we're working with the 30 feet, light slopes, not a whole lot of flammable vegetation around us. So in that immediate zone, if we could walk up that way, we'll kind of walk through the zones. And I'll stand right here. So you can see I'm standing kind of in a fuel break itself right here. This is where we've got that recycled concrete aggregate or urbanite application. And side by side you can compare it to the quarry stone, typical gravel that you would get from a quarry. The alternative, a more sustainable alternative, again keeping this out of the landfill and reducing natural resource consumption. This is what was demolished on campus, the plant science building. So recycled concrete aggregate in the first 5 feet away from the structure. You can see that we also have high high moisture content plants. We've got our prickly pear cactus with our stone crop, as well as some sedges that can tolerate being kind of in this shaded, awkward area, and our false aloe right here. So all of these high plant moisture, and you can see that in between these plants groupings, we also have a fuel break. So where we've chosen to put in these succulents in this immediate zone, we're breaking up that fuel, making sure there's no ladders to the structure itself. Also, our structure happens to have not a combustible siding on the bottom too, so that also is reducing the risk there. If we were to do the fence again, we would put in a metal or a non-combustible couple panels there to extend that non-combustible metal out to beyond the immediate zone, and then pick up with our wood or combustible product here. So just wanted to make a note there. Again, a fuel break here. So you can see biomass and the fuel aren't touching. So we've got non-combustible mulch here right next to, now we're working into our immediate zone. We can see our hardwood mulch is picked up here. We've got some native perennials, all very low growing still. So some native coneflowers. This is the Tennessee coneflower along with our purple coneflower. Another fuel break with our recycled concrete aggregate. This is another blue star Masonia. Again, all very kind of lower plants. Kind of in the middle of this immediate zone, we do have a couple woodies here that create a mass. These are dwarf, so they are not going to get any higher than 3 to 4 feet max. And you can see that this zone is spaced out from any other woody vegetation at least 10 feet. So this shrub area, again, dwarf species, dwarf oak leaf hydrangea and 9-bark, again isolated, and that crown of this woody vegetation is not going to touch a crown of another woody vegetation. Let's see, a couple more native perennials out in front there, and our downspout again is popping up out here to create our rain garden. So this rain garden is capturing our rooftop runoff, infiltrating it into the soil, increasing the soil moisture content there, again lowering the risk of ignition because it's a wetter area. And then we planted all these water-loving plants, and the water-loving plants take that water up, and so of course their biomass is also high in moisture content. So we've got our native blue flag iris, copper iris, some rushes, milkweed right out front here, and spiderwort right in the base of that rain garden. Really can tolerate having saturated roots, that inundation. So every time it rains, the rain garden fills up about 4 to 5 inches. Then it sinks into the ground and it is drained within 2 days. And ready for the next rain to come. And along the edge here, we've got another type of iris. This is a dwarf crested iris. It's actually technically our state flower, so really purple, great mountain plant. Some liatris, blazing star, and some river oats clustered in the back there. And you'll also notice, again, no large woody species. The only larger woody plant that we have here is at the kind of start of our extended zone, which is our native straight species 9-bark, which is at the edge of the fencing over there. And that will hopefully get to be about 8 or 10 feet tall. Again, very isolated from any other fuel around it. So this is the 9-bark. This is a native shrub that can grow to be 8, 10 feet tall, especially when it's pretty happy. And here it seems to be like it's well on its way to being very happy. You can see it's in full bloom right now. We just planted this last summer, and it was from a pretty young potted stalk already. So very vigorous grower. Just a great shrub that you would find many landscapes across East Tennessee.
So it's not a weed?
Definitely not a weed. Not a weed.